Okay, so what we're talking about today is the role of assumptions in critical thinking. All right, and in chapter 5, they talk about assumptions as an element in thinking critically. And what we're doing in the class is we're gathering, as we work through the text, tools of analysis, different approaches we can take to thinking critically about the arguments that are being conveyed and advanced through a variety of different mediums. All right, and knowing how to read and interpret and analyze different forms of media and the messages that are being conveyed and the arguments that are being advanced through those different mediums is called media literacy. All right, and what we're going to be practicing for SA2 is something called visual literacy. We're going to analyze visual rhetoric. Okay, we're going to learn how to read, interpret, analyze, and evaluate the signs and symbols of visual rhetoric. Okay, so all media is a mode of persuasion. Rhetoric, words, images, video, film, use appeals to our conscious and unconscious value assumptions. And that's what chapter 5 is about. We talked a little bit in, I can't remember if it was chapter 3 or 4, about values and how values can get in the way and belief systems can get in the way of our ability to perceive facts relatively objectively. Sometimes the things that we already believe are value, right, about someone or something or a situation can interfere with our ability to observe and gather information about that thing because we've already made up our mind about it, right? And we talked about religion as one of those value sets that sometimes can get in the way of people's ability to gather information because they've already decided, right, what's right and what's wrong. Okay, there's a moral code attached with every human or organized religion on the planet. And so people already know, or they think they do, whether a person is good or bad, or that whether a thing is right or wrong. And they close off from gathering more information about that thing. All right, so images are visual arguments. They are visual rhetoric. Okay, virtually every image is making some sort of argument, right? And the images are crafted on purpose by the people who create them to target a specific audience's values, their beliefs, okay, their concerns, their attitudes, okay, their biases, okay, about a thing or a person, right, or an issue, in order to persuade that audience to agree with the argument that the image wants to make about that thing, person, issue, etc. All right, they're targeting their conscious and their unconscious value assumptions. All right, because they want to persuade the audience to, buy a product. Okay, every ad is a visual argument. Every picture you see that's an ad is making an argument. The textual argument versus the subtextual one, because the value assumptions are the subtextual argument, but the textual argument is buy this product, right? Buy this deodorant, buy this case of beer or this vodka, right? I'm just brainstorming of the ads that I've seen lately, right? Buy this manscaping tool, all right? So I saw an ad recently for a manscaping tool, which is, some sort of clipper that guys can use to cut their body hair or shave their body hair off, right? And it's a special one, and guys, you got to have it, right? If you want to be able to attract the ladies. And what's super important to heterosexual males? Attracting females is super important, right? That is a value. That is a key value that they have, that the creators of the ad know, right? They're stereotyping you, guys. They know what you care about. They know what you believe. They know what you value. They know what you're worried about, right? And they use those feelings to sell you stuff, okay? They're making assumptions about you. All right. Images use different kinds of evidence and function at a much more subconscious level. That's why they're so effective. That's why they're becoming so prevalent, okay? Because they're operating on a subconscious level. They don't call attention to themselves. The arguments in images often fly under your subconscious radar. You're not perceiving them, okay? In fact, most people aren't even aware that they are reading or being persuaded by images, because those images rely really heavily on unconscious value assumptions, the core beliefs that we all take for granted. All right, so even if the image is selling a product versus an idea, like a candidate, right, or a belief in something like freedom, or, there goes my neck, democracy, right? Oh, my neck is so stiff these days. All right, they're still using and reinforcing, because that's the subtext, a set of values, beliefs, concerns, attitudes in order to do that. Okay, those are always assumed on the part of the creators of the image, that their target audience shares these things. All right, so I've talked about value assumptions. I've talked about target audience and the importance of the target audience's values, beliefs, attitudes, concerns. Okay, those are all important concepts that are going to come up again and again as I discuss these things. All right, so you may have heard, if you're in marketing or business, the word demographic, right? That's the target audience. And demo, of course, from the Greek means people. And graphic is a way to measure something, right? It's a way of counting something. So a demographic study, right, looks at groups of people who are assumed to share a set of values, beliefs, concerns, desires, interests, right? And what are some demographics, you guys? Give me some examples of demographics. What are some criteria used to group people for the purposes of selling them stuff?
Age.
Age, right? So if you're targeting males, gender is another demographic. If you're targeting males or male identifying humans, right, you're also going to care about the age they are, right? 18 to 35 is one that I hear a lot. That's an age range that tends generally, and these people are drawing on generalizations, right? Which, as we agreed when we were studying chapter 3, I think, I can't remember. When we were studying one of those chapters, 3 or 4 before, we agreed generalizations were reasonable if they were based on a pattern of observation, right? If you could stack up repeated observations, a repeated pattern of facts and inferences, then you could start to generalize from those. So the marketers who are targeting a particular demographic to sell them something, whether that's a toy or a video game, right? Or a pair of sneakers, right? Or a candidate for office, right? They're assuming a shared set of values, beliefs, and concerns based on gender, based on age, right? So what are some other demographic criteria that people use to target audiences?
Interests like technology or cars?
Okay, and what kind of people are likely to share an interest in the same kind of car? So if you're selling a particular kind of car, you're going to have a particular customer in mind. And what kind of characteristics is that customer going to have? And others like him or her. Like, let's say you're selling
money.
Right. So economics is another important demographic factor. How much money? So if you look at, I know we don't look at magazines anymore. Okay, TV shows. All right. If you watch a TV show that has ads, right, there are going to be specific kinds of ads that are played on specific kinds of TV shows, where the people who are paying to have those ads broadcast during that programming are making assumptions about who's watching the program. What kind of people watch the news shows that I watch? People with erectile dysfunction. I'm here to tell you, watch the news shows I watch. People with joint pain, like me, watch the news shows I watch. So what's that demographic? People who need to manscape. What's that demographic, you guys?
Older people.
Yes, definitely
Age.
older. Definitely older people. And people with some money, right, that can afford erectile dysfunction medication when most people just need to suffer with it. Although I do understand that it's covered by insurance. And I don't understand that. I don't understand, right? Why women can't get birth control, or are supposed to. Some people feel that birth control should not be covered by insurance, right? But erectile dysfunction medication can be. I hesitate to even call that medication, although I'm being kind of cheeky right now. All right, so do we understand the concept of a demographic? It's a target audience where it's assumed that people share concerns, right? People share a kind of identity in that audience. That's gonna make them be more susceptible to certain kinds of messages delivered in a certain kind of way, because those messages are targeting their unconscious values. All right, so we talked about demographics, which equals target audience, right? We talked about visual rhetoric, right? Which means an argument advanced through visual versus textual signs and symbols, right? In fact, what is text on a page? It's just an arbitrary system, right? The letter A is just some squiggle that people made up, and they decided the letter A is going to stand for a particular sound that we make in speech, right? The A is a graphic. It's a way to organize and present a sound. And then we put a bunch of those together and then we have a word. And then we put a bunch of those together and we have a sentence, and so on. All right. So visual rhetoric uses signs and symbols to advance its argument, to communicate with an audience, right, on a conscious and a subconscious level. And as I said, it works really well on a subconscious level because it doesn't call attention to itself as much as text does. And visual literacy is a concept that means the ability to read the signs and symbols of visual rhetoric, okay? Visual analysis is what we're gonna do, okay, to an image. We're gonna look at it, break it down like we did for essay 1, and look really closely at the little pieces and to understand how they're working together to convey the message in the image and ultimately the argument that the image is trying to make by appealing to the unconscious value assumptions that are held by the target audience. Okay, so those are all the key concepts that we're going to be using to do essay 2. Does all of that make sense to you guys? Do you have any questions about anything I just talked about?
Nah.
Thank you, Killian. Y'all good? All right, anybody chatting at me? Let me see. Nope, nobody's chatting at me. Okay. All right, so that's the intro. I want to talk about topic selection. Okay, I'm going to show you the essay 2 assignment sheet, which is right here and in other places in Canvas. But I'm going to focus on topic selection because I said we're going to be talking about this over the next couple of weeks. And the first thing you need to do is pick your topic. All right, here's the assignment sheet. And a lot of what I was just talking about is articulated also in these paragraphs here, but you should read them anyway. You should read them. Okay, so step 1, right here, select an image to analyze. All right, and let me look and see when that's going to be due. I have to open another window here, which I should have opened already, but didn't. Okay. There we go. So that's due on the 27th in a couple days. All right. So I hope everybody's ears are pricked up and their brains are turned on while I go over the image approval criteria. Okay, so this is the same stuff that's in the assignment sheet I was just showing you here. Same stuff, same criteria for selecting your image. And I will demonstrate how to go about looking for an image, or one strategy that I suggest. There's lots of ways to find an image. But the image that you pick can't be any older than 6. And I'll show you how to find out in Google. Okay, if you're going to use Google to search for a digital image, which is totally fine and actually recommended, especially given our current circumstances, I'll show you how to find out how old the image is. I'll also show you how to find out who created it, right? Either a person or an entity, an organization, right? A business, a corporation, right? An organization. Who created it? Who's responsible for its existence? And then where it's likely to be seen. You've got to know where it's likely to be seen in order to discern its intended audience, right? You got to know where it is to know who's going to see it. Okay, and you need to know who the audience is in order to do your analysis. It's got to have a context, and I'll talk about rhetorical, cultural, or historical context, right? It's got to fit into some larger context. And I'll give you an example of what that means. And it's got to have a clear primary purpose, all right? When you submit it, you need to give me the image, right? You can upload a JPEG of your image. You must upload a JPEG of your image. And you also need to submit this source information. I'll tell you how to find that out in a little bit. Okay, this demonstrates how to find it out. Okay, but I'll do a little demonstration of that too before we stop talking today. All right. Okay, so that's image selection, and you got to get that submitted to me by the 27th, so I have time to approve it. We might need to have a little conversation about it. I might have some questions for you about it. Okay, so please submit it on time, and then check your comments on that assignment to make sure it's been approved. If it gets a check mark, that means it's been approved. If there's an X in the Canvas assignment in your grade, that means it has not been approved. And then you need to check your comments. All right, so that's the basic assignment. I want to start though by giving a little demonstration talking about this image right here. Can I make it bigger? Let me see. I can make my whole page bigger. Yeah, that's not really working. Okay, let me download this and then I can make it bigger. Shoot, I made all of that crap bigger too. I didn't want to. Okay, let me download this. I don't have it downloaded on my new computer. And you guys should do this too. You should download this assignment. Let's see, I want to put it in English 2. Okay, move my Zoom window. There it is. Okay. All right, now I can make this image bigger without screwing everything else up. Okay, so we can see that a little better now. All right, so this image has all of those things that I said your image needs to have. It has a discernible creator and place of publication. I'll just tell you the place of publication. That's explained down here where it was published. Okay, and it has a discernible context. Okay, this context is a contemporary context, something that's going on right now, and it has a rhetorical context, an argument about an issue that's happening right now. Okay, but let me start with asking you guys what you think the argument is this image is making. What's its argument?
Contamination?
Sorry, say that again. I didn't quite get that.
Contamination, pollution.
Okay, that's the issue. That's one of the issues this argument is about. That's part of its context, right? What's the argument they're making about that? About that part of the context. Sorry guys, I have a little bit of allergy going on. That's why I'm all sniffly and nasally. Is anybody chatting at me? Nope, nobody's chatting at me. What do you guys think the argument is in this image? There's a real obvious one right on the surface, right?
The Stop Oil Industry, what does it say, Greenpeace?
Yeah, that's what that banner says. So there's some textual rhetoric, some words in this image that is helping to convey the argument. But there's a lot of visual rhetoric, a lot of visual details in this image that are carrying the image to a particular audience as well. All right, but yeah, the main argument that this image is making, right, and we'll talk about its primary purpose in a minute, but the main argument this image is making is against the oil industry. Stop it, right? Stop the oil industry. So what do you think these guys are doing? Who are they? What is their function?
Protesters.
They're protesters, right? They're not workers, right? They're not up there to fix the anchor on the ship, because that's what this is, right? This is a giant oil tanker. This is its anchor. This is the bow of the ship. Where is the anchor? Is it on the bow or the stern of a ship, guys? The front or the back? Anybody know? Okay, it might be on the back. I may have misspoke. Clearly I'm not an expert on ships. All right, but these guys aren't there to fix it, right? Even though they've got a hard hat on, they're not workers. They're protesters, clearly, right? And you are relying on the visual details in the image, right, to make that call, right, to conclude that they are protesters, to infer that they're protesters. You're drawing on some facts in this image, some visual details to infer that they're protesters. You're making a guess, right, but it's an educated one. What other visual details help you guess that? What other visual details support that as a reasonable inference?
The banner
Yeah.
alone. I'm not too sure, but are those chains on the, what is it, the anchor or propeller?
Yeah, it looks like they've put some, I don't know if that's meant to interfere with the functioning of the anchor, you know, or to just help anchor them to the anchor so they don't fall off, right? I'm not sure. But yeah, so the banner is a piece of visual rhetoric that helps you infer that these are protesters, because this guy's got his hand on it, right? He's not trying to take it down. He's just kind of sitting there, right? I'm looking at the specific details in the image, as you guys have been practicing doing, and interpreting what they mean so that I can draw some conclusions about this image. All right, they seem to have put it up, and they seem to be holding it up there, not trying to take it down. Go ahead.
There's a blue bag right there, it looks like. So it looks like they're going to be up there for a while.
Oh, that's right. I hadn't noticed that before. Good observation. Yeah, that might be a tent or some sort of, you know, some sort of camping gear or something, right? Or maybe they're ditty bags, stuff that they need to be up there for a while, food or what have you, medication. Okay, I'm guessing. Okay, but that's a reasonable inference, right? And Killian, I think that was you. You said it looks like. That's good. It looks like they're going to be up there for a while, and that helps to support the inference that these are protesters. All right. What else? What other details help to convey the argument this image is making? Not just the banner itself, not just the words, right? But all of the visual details, all of the visual rhetoric is carrying the argument to the target audience.
I'm thinking the ocean in the background,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why is that important to the argument this image is making, Elizabeth?
Just in the past decade, there's been a lot of oil spills in the ocean, especially like in the Mexican Gulf here in the
Good.
US.
Yeah, good. That helps to establish the context for this argument, right? Which is, why are people making it? What's the debate about? Why do that? Why get up there and do that, right? Because this thing has happened. That's a piece of contemporary context. There's been recent oil spills. Like for gun control, part of the contemporary context is the recent shootings. That's why people get upset about, gun violence and try to do something to stop it. And then there are others who disagree, and then there's a debate, right? So the debate over how to protect the oceans, that's an important piece of visual rhetoric here. Also, it shows that this, and there's a little ripple there, right? It shows that this ship is at sea. It's not in a dock, right? And we'll come back to why that's important. Okay. What else? What other details are important to convey the argument about the oil industry? I'm sorry, go ahead, Virginia.
It has a dinosaur, but I don't know. I'm guessing, like the oil does, like, I don't know. It has to do something with the animals.
No,
Like,
keep thinking that through. That's important. The dinosaur is not accidental. Nothing in this image is on accident. It's all there on purpose.
So I guess when the oil spilled in the ocean, like Elizabeth had mentioned, it does harm the fish, any living creature in the sea.
Yeah, it does.
And then they go to extinction. Like, the dinosaur has gone to extinction. So, yeah.
Yeah, dinosaurs are extinct. And you just brought up a significance of this dinosaur as a symbol that I hadn't thought of before, right? That it's going to drive the sea life to extinction the way the dinosaurs are extinct. That's really good. I hadn't thought of that before, right? What's another significance of this dinosaur?
The fossil fuels.
Yeah, that's what oil is made of, right? That's what it's made of, dinosaur. It's decomposed dinosaur. Gross, right? We don't want that in the ocean. That's gross. Okay. And then what else? What else on this banner is a piece of visual rhetoric? There's a couple more things about this banner to notice.
Greenpeace.
Okay,
It's
the name.
political.
That's right. And you recognize that organization, right, Elizabeth? You know who Greenpeace is or what it is, right? And what they're all about. What are they all about?
They're environmentalists.
Right. They're crazy environmentalists, right? There goes my neck. Or as the current president would probably call them, terrorists, a terrorist organization, right? But they care about the environment, and they do stunts like this to get our attention, a specific target audience's attention though. People who know who Greenpeace is, right? Not people who don't know who Greenpeace is. So let's just set that aside for a minute and remember it later when we talk about target audience. Okay, what else about this banner? Other pieces of visual rhetoric?
I would say the color, because that would like let other boats or other people see it from far away.
Yes, the color is super important, right? It's super important. It's a kind of alarm color, right? So colors have significance. This is a high visibility color. You'll see people who are working on something wearing jackets in this color, right? And it's also a lookout color, right? Caution, it's a caution color. That's its significance. Good. What else? There's more. This is what you're going to need to do with your image, is unpack it. All the little details, they all mean something.
The rust on the anchor.
The rust on the anchor, okay. And what do you see as the significance of that?
That the boat's always out in the ocean. The anchor is constantly being used, causing the rust.
Okay, good, good. So this is the kind of thing you're going to be doing in Essay 2, is you're going to be noticing the visual details and then interpreting them, analyzing how they're intended to help the argument, and then ultimately evaluating whether or not the argument has been successful with its target audience. All right, but what else? There's more stuff in this banner. I'm circling around it. Right there.
The circle with the slash through it. It says
Yeah. What does that mean, Elizabeth?
it means no.
Yeah, stop. It means stop, don't do this, cancel it, right? Stamp it out. Okay, that's an important detail. All right. And so we could go on. We could talk about framing, which is an important element of visual rhetoric here. Framing has to do with what's in and what's not in the picture. All right, but let's move on to purpose. Okay, but before we do that, I'll let you guys know that this is an image that was published in. It's by Greenpeace. That's the creator. I said you have to discern the creator. With a photograph like this, you don't necessarily need to know who took the picture. Okay, but the entity responsible for it being created, right? The commissioner of this picture, the people who said, we want this picture, is Greenpeace, right? It's their marketing message for themselves, all right? And so that's the creator. And then the place of publication, which is another thing you need to know, is the AP, the Associated Press. That's where this image was first published. And so from knowing that, you can extrapolate to who the target audience is. Okay, you can make an educated guess about the demographic for that publication. Who reads it? Who reads the Associated Press? Okay, the Associated Press is in the same category, if you've never heard of it before, as the New York Times or the Washington Post or the LA Times, right? A very reputable, used to be print, but now I think it's mostly online publication. A lot of other news organizations will quote the Associated Press. All right, so just a little bit about them. So who do you think reads and follows the Associated Press? What kinds of people? Donald Trump would call, go ahead, sorry, Elizabeth.
I'm assuming liberals.
Yes, that's what Donald Trump would say. The liberal media, right? It's another arm of the liberal media. Okay, fake news. Can you hear that cracking? It's really loud in my head. Okay, yes, that's who reads the Associated Press. And how, and you know, people with money, people who are educated, those are some more aspects of the demographic. Okay, people with advanced educations. So what do you think people in that group already think about Greenpeace? What do you think they already think or believe about Greenpeace?
I think they're most likely in support, or they could probably get on board with a lot of their messages.
Yeah, they're already down with Greenpeace. Would you agree? Would everybody agree? Give me a thumbs up. Elizabeth's the only one talking, you guys. Elizabeth and Killian. Oh, I saw a thumbs up right there. I don't remember who that was because I was scrolling fast. Killian, thank you. All right, you guys agree with the assertion that the readers of AP are mostly liberal, okay, already. And because of that, they know who Greenpeace is, what that organization is about, and they already agree with its purpose, which is to protect the environment. Okay, so then why make the image? Why go to all that trouble? Why risk your lives? I said I'd come back to the inference we can draw that this ship is at sea. That means that these people are in a dangerous situation. Okay, just being on the anchor of any ship is already a dangerous situation, and they're at sea to boot, or we're supposed to believe they are because of the way this image is framed. Okay, they've got their hard hats on, right? That shows they know they're in a dangerous situation. They're chained, it looks like, to this anchor. Okay, so they don't fall off. Why do that? Why go to the expense and the risk? They're trespassing, right? This is not their property. They're gonna get arrested. So why risk all of that, you guys? What's the purpose of this image? If the target audience already agrees with the mission of Greenpeace, why does the image exist? Why was it made? Why did they pay to have it published?
I would say probably to promote change.
Okay, so what do the creators and publishers of this image want? What kind of change do they want?
For us to better like take care of the environment rather than destroying it with all of these oil spills and just letting the oil industry run the sea basically.
Okay, so and that's true. And we said that the target audience already agrees with that message, right? That we need to stop the oil industry because the oil industry is harming the environment. And that's the message that's on the surface. So what I'm pushing you guys to identify is the subtext of this image. That's the message underneath the one on top, okay, the subtext. All right, and while you guys are thinking about this, thinking about the purpose of this image, I'm just gonna point out that when we were identifying the target audience, right, we were identifying the values, beliefs, concerns, right, interests that are shared by that group of people. And that the creators of this image are assuming on the part of that audience and then crafting an image on purpose that will appeal to that audience. Okay, that will appeal to those values, those beliefs, those concerns. All right, so that's an important part of the analysis that you're going to do as well, is identifying those. So what's the purpose, you guys, of this image? Why make it? What do the creators and publishers of this image want their target audience to do? Do they want them to buy something? I said it's a marketing message for Greenpeace, right? Do they want them to take some specific action? Do you think the people who created this image expect or hope to inspire, okay, the people in their target audience, the people who read the AP, people like me, to climb onto the anchor of an oil tanker and do a protest like this one? Do you think they expect them to do that?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think that's the purpose? You think they think a 57, oops, I just told you my age. A 57-year-old woman is gonna climb, put on a hard hat and climb onto the anchor of a ship?
Perhaps not that
What do they want from me,
extreme.
Elizabeth?
Definitely to protest and stop buying oil.
Okay, maybe they want me to boycott the oil industry, right? Maybe they want me to do that. We have to guess though, because they don't say that, right? They just say stop. All right. And so we talked about the risks these guys are taking, right? What do you think the target audience is going to think about these two? It looks like young men. I can't tell, right? I'm reverting to my gender assumptions, right? To infer that these are men. I can't tell that they are. They might be women. Okay. But what do you think they think we're going to think or feel about what they're doing, about what these people are doing?
I think that by looking at these two individuals, we could assume that they're committed to what they believe in, like they're determined to see change in what they're protesting, and yeah, they're just really committed, and so that kind of motivates other people to also, you know, stop buying oil or and help with the change.
Yeah, so it's meant to motivate people to do what they can do, right? It's meant to inspire them, because we in the target audience are going to say, wow, look at these guys putting their bodies on the line for us. They're risking everything to save our planet, right? And then we feel guilty. And then what do? Maybe we go out and protest, right? But what do they really want from us, you guys? Have you guys encountered Greenpeacers in your travels? They're all over Pacific Avenue. I mean, they were before COVID with their clipboards, right? And they act like they want you to sign a petition, but what they really end up asking you for is what?
Money.
That's it. Bingo. That's what they want from me. They want my $50. They want my $50 a month. I'm like, I don't have $50 a month to give you, Greenpeace. I'm already supporting 10 other organizations because I'm so terrified of what this administration is doing to everything that I care about. All right. So, that is the purpose of this image, right? It's a marketing message. It's targeting people like me who read newspapers, but aren't going to get on the anchor of a ship, who will protest, right? And that helps a little bit. But what they're really asking me to do is support what they're doing. And how can I do that? I can do that best with my money. All right. So that took a while, right? To drill into that, to look at all of the details in this image and identify the target audience, interpret the main argument that the image is making and its purpose for making that argument. We determined who made it or who caused it to be made and where it was published. Okay? So you don't need to do all of that before you pick your image. You just need to identify that you can do all of that in your analysis, because you need to pick an image that will work for the thing you need to do for essay 2. Does all of that make sense? You guys?
Yes.
All right, good. So that was our first practice run at this. Thank you for the thumbs up, everybody. Letting me know you understood what the hell I just said. Okay, oops, I cussed in Zoom. And I told my age in Zoom. It's on record, shoot. I don't think I can edit that out. Oh well. Okay, so we're gonna look at this PowerPoint over the next few days. All right, we're going to do it again next week. And it covers the different approaches that you can take to doing your visual analysis. The specific things that you write about in your essay are going to depend on the image that you choose. But do you feel like I've given you enough information to pick a good image, you guys? Are there any questions you have about image selection? No? Okay. Nobody's chatting at me? I have to repeatedly check my chat. Okay, nobody's chatting at me. Okay, so let me download this rather than preview it. Oh, I gotta move my Zoom window. Again, I want to save it to English too. Okay. Okay, and you guys just saw where I got that, right? Here, let me minimize that. So it's right there. Okay, if you want to look at it yourselves, it's right in here. Okay. There it is. Let me make it big. Enable editing, I said. There we go. Should I do slideshow? Sure, I'll do slideshow from beginning. Okay, so this is a slide that reiterates some of the points I made about visual literacy. The capacity that we all have, even though we're not conscious of it, to read a visual text, right? So for our purposes, the word text is in quotes here. It's anything that can be interpreted, anything we can make meaning out of or assign value to. In a sense, all culture is a text, all right? Everything in our culture is a text, all right? Images are text, video is text, okay? Musical recordings are a text, film is a text, okay? Because we can read it, we can interpret it, we can analyze it, and we can evaluate it, okay? All right, here's a couple of ads, or actually this is one whole ad, okay? At the turn of the century, this is what ads looked like. Our ads don't look like this anymore, do they? Would you guys spend any time reading this text? How many of you would spend time reading the text? Give me a thumbs up if you would read the text. Nobody, right? No, we want images. Oh, Killian would, okay. If you like bikes, maybe you're gonna read all of the words about the bike that you're looking to buy, right? Maybe you would, okay? But look at this little drawing. That's not very compelling as an image, is it? And then there's a bunch of words. So I've been told that people don't do Twitter anymore because it's too text intensive. There's too many words, right? What is it, 140 characters, or is it more now? I think they made gave you more characters in Twitter. But what does everybody use as social media, you guys? What social media do you guys use?
Instagram.
Of course. Okay, put your thumbs up if, like Virginia, you guys are all on Instagram. And that is the main or one of the main sources of social media that you use. Nobody? Nobody else is on Instagram? Or are you guys just not listening to me now? Thank you, Elizabeth. Instagram, TikTok, right, which is videos. There's not a lot of text in TikTok. It's mostly images. Jenny, thank you for participating. All right. And that's because we have moved to a reliance much more on the image than on the word in our culture for the modes through which we communicate with each other. We're communicating a lot more through images than we are through words in our culture. Here's an ad, okay, that demonstrates that. All right, there are no words in this ad, okay? But I bet you guys read it really fast. When I'm in class, people laugh, but you guys are all on mute and I can't see your faces. So I have no way of knowing how you're reacting to this image. So tell me, what's your reaction to this image? I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all. What did you think of that image? What's its argument? Thank you, Deanna. Thank you. That's the kind of reaction I'm looking for and expecting, right? What's the argument the image is making, you guys? Here, I'll put it up again so you can see it. There it is.
I think it's trying to say women will put out if you propose to them.
That's right. Right. You read that really fast, right? And we're drawing a lot on our cultural knowledge. We know that this is a proposal, right? It doesn't say it is, but this is what we do in our culture. This is how we do a marriage proposal, not a business proposal, right? It's a marriage proposal. This means marriage. This little box, okay? The positioning of the bodies, as much of them as we can see in this image, right? The perspective of the viewer looking down. The woman is above. We can perceive that the woman is higher in the image, and the man is probably, we can reasonably infer, on his knees, right? Because that's how we do proposals in this culture, right? And then Elizabeth, or anybody other than Elizabeth, who's the only one talking to me, Elizabeth and Killian, tell me why you interpret, why you infer, okay, the argument that this image is making, that a proposal of marriage, right, means a woman opens herself up to a sexual relationship with the man. What visual details convey that?
Oh, her legs are open.
That's right. And what's in there? Come on, you guys.
I
Right?
don't sound like too conservative, but it's
Well,
revealing. Like it's short. It barely seems like the skirt's covering her legs at all anyway. So you're supposed to pick that up, that those are the main part of the pictures.
that's right. Everything about the way this picture is composed and framed is on purpose to lead you to that inference. Okay, your eye is drawn to this spot, right? The hands are literally pointing to that spot, right? And the juxtaposition, remember that word juxtaposition, we're going to come back to it. Juxtaposition means setting two things side by side so that you have to compare them. The juxtaposition of this image with this one, right? And the arrangement of the images in the ad overall, where this one is on the left, because we read right to left, right? So we're going to look at this one first. This is the before image, right? The box is closed, the legs are closed. Move to this image, left to right. Okay, the box is open, the legs are open. What's between the legs, you guys? We all know. All right. So who's this image aimed at? This down here, Natan, this is a jewelry company. Who's the target audience?
Men.
That's right. Not women, right? Women are not the target audience for this image. They're not trying to sell the wedding ring to women. They're trying to sell it to men, right? And based on what shared set of values, what values are assumed by the creators of this image to be held and shared by men? Does my question make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What do they value? What do they care about? What are they after? Come on.
The company that put out the ad, what are they
Yes.
after?
No.
I was after,
What are they? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so the company's after money. They want men, they're showing that, hey, man, if you buy a ring, your lady will open up.
That's right. And so they're making an assumption. They're stereotyping the men that are in their target audience. And we'll talk about where this ad was published in a minute, or where it's likely to have been published. But they're targeting a particular set of men who they assume believe something, value something, care about something in particular. And what is that?
Sex.
That's it. Thank you. Thanks for playing. I know you guys all know this. You're shy. I don't know why you're shy. I don't know why you're shy to say it. Okay, it's obvious. And this ad is not even trying to be subtle. They're not trying to be subtle. because their target audience doesn't appreciate subtlety. Their target audience appreciates humor, right? Their target audience appreciates, you know, sort of they have a ribald, which means sexually based sense of humor, right? So maybe the men in the target audience are going to take this seriously, but they're sure going to laugh, and it's going to get them to notice the ad, right? So this ad was published probably in a magazine like Esquire, which is a gentleman's, or GQ, which are magazines that are aimed at a particular group of men that are wealthy. They can afford this big fat gold and diamond ring, right? You can see just a little piece that this guy's probably wearing a suit. This woman has very nice pumps on, so we can infer some things about the money that these people are likely to have, right? I got to plug in my computer. It's overheating. I have a little fan that it's on top of. Okay. So the target audience, we can infer some things about who Natan is targeting their ad at, right? And why they have constructed this ad the way they have. If the target audience was women, because wedding rings are also marketed to women. If you look at a bridal magazine, you'll see lots of ads for rings because women have a lot to say about the ring they want often, right? Men don't usually make the choice of the wedding ring. They pay for it traditionally, right? But so if this ad was targeted at a woman, what would it be like? It sure wouldn't be like this. It would look way different, wouldn't it? Can you guys make some guesses about what the ring would look like? What the ad would look like?
It would probably have a really happy woman with like a man in front of her holding a ring.
Yeah, and you'd probably see the whole person, right? You'd probably see the whole woman, not just a pair of legs, open or closed, right? And we could go on. There's probably be flowers and candlelight, right? And ambiance, right? Maybe it would be on a beach or something, right? It would be romantic. It wouldn't be transactional. It wouldn't be this for that, right? All right, let's move on. You guys get it. Target audience. Whoops, I went the wrong way. I want to go that way. Okay. Let me look at the time that I have here. Okay, when is this class over, you guys? I lost track of time. When is this class over? When do we have to end our meeting?
Is it 11?
11? Okay, so I got a few more minutes. Okay, I'm just going to look at a couple more of these. Like I said, we'll pick this up again next week. All right, and I don't want to make you guys too tired, so I'll just look at a couple more. All right, I want slideshow from current. Okay, so this is a different kind of ad, right? And there's some text in this ad, but the visual rhetoric is super important to the argument this image is making, right? It's not going to play the same without the visual rhetoric. We're not going to understand these words the same way without this visual rhetoric. Okay, let's start with the creator of this image. Does anybody know what RT News is?
No.
Thank you for answering. I appreciate that. That lets me know that there are people out there and not just a bunch of black anonymous robot boxes. No, but does anybody know? RT Russia Today, does that help? Anybody a news geek like me? No, nobody?
Nope.
Okay. He said proudly. Okay, so Russia Today is a state-run Russian news organization, right? Because if there's going to be a news organization in Russia, it's going to be run by the state. There are some independent news organizations in Russia, but they're under a lot of stress, okay? you know, reporters who work for them are murdered routinely. Okay, so Russia is not a democracy, you guys. Russia is an authoritarian state, and the government is in control of the news media in Russia. There goes my neck. Okay, all right, so RT is Russia today. What do you think the argument is that this image is making?
Terrorists can be your own patriots, like people from your own country.
That's right. You guys, you read that really fast, right? You put together all of these details really fast to identify the main argument that this image is making. That's it. Okay. So how do all of these details work together to convey that argument? How did you get your own people in your interpretation? What visual detail conveys that part of your interpretation?
The uniform, just the attire that they're wearing.
Yeah. So, and let me back up just a minute to identify the target audience, right? Who do you think the target audience is for this argument?
Well, I mean, it's from Russia, so I'm assuming it's the Russian people that believe that terrorism is only coming, like terrorists are foreign.
Okay. And you get foreign from this image, right? This part of the image conveys something that's foreign. And this could be a Russian soldier. It could be. Okay. I happen to know that Russian soldiers wear green. So that's why I know this is not a Russian soldier. Okay. So if it's not a Russian soldier, what kind of soldier is it? Because this soldier is wearing tan.
Yeah, he's most likely foreign then.
Okay.
I can't say exactly, like, I don't know.
Okay. What's a guess you guys can make? Right? Let me hear from someone other than Elizabeth and Killian. Do I need to call on people? I hate doing that.
Most
I'd rather you guys.
Soldier?
Or Virginia. Virginia has been participating too. Let me call on somebody else, okay? Let me see. Steve. I just picked you randomly. Okay, what kind of soldier do you think this is? What's a reasonable inference you could make? This guy. Oops. Screwed up. I clicked when I shouldn't have. There we go.
Based on what he's wearing, based on the color of his uniform, right?
Yeah, based on the color of his uniform and anything else about him that you can identify. His gear, right?
Wouldn't it be U.S. because they wear tan?
U.S. is a decent guess. Okay, an American soldier or a British soldier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, those guys wear tan, right? And they carry this kind of weapon. Does anybody recognize this weapon?
Yeah, I recognize it.
What kind is it? Do you know its name?
I don't know which one it is. AR-15, AR-16?
Yeah, it's an AR something, right? That's an American-made weapon, right? It's not a Kalashnikov. It's not a Russian weapon, right? Now, I wouldn't assume that everybody knows that. That's why I just posed that one to the group. But these are all details that can help us infer reasonably that this is a Western soldier. If it's not an American soldier, it's a Western soldier, right? And what's the narrative that we in the West here have about terrorists? Do they look like this guy in our mind? No, they look like this guy. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that they usually look like they're covered. They're, yeah, like you said, the guy right there next to him.
Yeah. We never talk in this country or in the West about American or Western terrorists, right? Or Christian terrorists. We talk about Islamic terrorists. And they wear this stuff. People from the Middle East. All right? So all of those details support Elizabeth's interpretation of the argument that this image is making. That it is attempting to challenge our idea. We're the target audience. Those of us in the West who believe that terrorists only look like this, not like this, right? And there's more that we could say about how the details in this image convey that argument. This guy is screaming, right? He's making a very scary face, right? That's terrorizing. He looks scary, okay? So, and they could have put the word terrorist in quotes because that's subjective. Who the terrorist is subjective. It depends, right, on who you're being terrorized by. And if you're someone who lives in Afghanistan or Iraq, right, you're being terrorized by a guy who looks like this, right? You might also be terrorized by a guy who looks like this, but you're definitely being terrorized by people who look like this. All right, there was an incident that occurred about the time that this image, there's a whole set of images like this that appeared in international airports. So Russia Today was making an argument about the West and foreign policy, that it was posing to everybody else that we're the bad guys. We're saying everybody else is the bad guy, but we're the bad guys, okay? And that's Russian propaganda, but they're not wrong. They're not wrong. And about the time that these images appeared, a US soldier had walked off his base in Iraq and into a nearby village and slaughtered 16 women and children. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It's some years ago that happened now. 4 years ago or so, that soldier was sentenced for that crime. That's a war crime that he committed. Okay? So those people in that village felt terrorized by someone who looks like this. And that's the argument this image is making, right? Hopefully you guys see that this text alone is not going to convey that argument. The parallelism here, the way these two figures bleed into and overlap each other, they're two heads on the same body, literally, right? They're mirror images of each other. They're both terrorists, okay? So I'm going kind of fast now and doing your work for you because I want to end class now. But does that make sense, you guys, so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you're looking for your image, you want to be looking for images that you can do what we were just doing to those three images that we talked about. Okay? Any questions? Oh, I was going to talk about SA1. Let me do that real fast. Sorry, I have to share screen with you guys again. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so here are your final draft requirements for SA1. Your SA1 has got to be 3 full pages. That means all the way down to the bottom of the page, page 3. Okay, your works cited page is a separate page. All right, if it's not 3 full pages, I'm not even going to read it. Okay, that's a minimum requirement for a passing grade. All right, also, I would like you to submit the 2 sources that you picked from those I provided with your annotations, right? If they're digital, you can upload them to this assignment. If you have them on paper, you can take pictures of that and upload to this assignment. You also need to have done this assignment. If you didn't do it and upload it to this assignment. This is the planning work that I asked you to do. You need to have completed your peer review. Okay, your essay needs to have been reviewed by 2 of your classmates to submit your final draft. All right. If you did that in Canvas, I will be able to see that in Canvas. You don't need to do anything. You just need to have completed the peer review, or it has to have been completed for you. Okay. Any questions about SA1, the final draft? No? All right, then I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. All right. I'm going to stop the recording first.